am Johnny from ultimatepapermache.com, and I just finished my dodo mask. The pattern itself is now available. You can see it at ultimatepapermache.com/dodo mask, and on that page there's also a video that'll show you how all the pieces go together. And this one, even though this is kind of a big mask, I mean really big, it actually goes together really fast. In this video, I'm going to show you how I put the paper mache on there, including this crazy paper towel feather stuff on the back. And I'll show you how I painted it, which was really fast and simple. But I did have kind of a hard time deciding how to paint it because nobody, I think, really knows what colors they were. When I made my original sculpture of a dodo, maybe 12 or 15 years ago, that one was made with plaster cloth and paper mache clay. I really played around with the colors on my sculpture, but I did use an old painting, this one, for a model, and kind of got the darks and lights in the right place at least. And that one is one that a lot of experts seem to think is the closest as far as the colors and shapes go. But for this guy, I wanted to do something just totally different because I don't like doing the same thing over again. And so I used this photograph as a model for this guy. This is a stuffed dodo, but I think maybe the body isn't actually from a dodo. I kind of get that impression. And I think maybe the colors aren't right. But I decided to go ahead and use it anyway because nobody really knows what color they were. And so that also means that you can paint yours any way you want to, right? And I think that makes it kind of fun. So let's go ahead and get started. I started out by tearing up some paper that came from a shipping box, but I don't have this box anymore, so I don't actually know where it came from. It's a lot lighter than the brown paper that comes from Amazon.com boxes, and it's a little bit lighter weight. I really like it, actually. I've never used it before. I tore it into pieces and stuck it all around the bottom edge. I'm using a cooked flour and water paste that dries clear, and if you're looking for recipes for paste, you can just go to my website and click on the recipes tab that's up at the top. There's a lot of different recipes for paper mache paste, and all of them work, but I just happen to like this one, and it really worked out well this time because I ended up using the paper itself as the color for his beak. I wanted it all the way around the bottom edge just so that could dry out a little bit before I stuck him up on top of one of my mannequins. And the mannequin's just slightly undersized. I printed this one I think at 90%, so it's not really holding him up entirely. That's why his beak is sitting on the table. But it worked. You could also use a big plastic bottle to hold your mask up while you're working on it, and that really helps. Anything that you can use to kind of hold it up off the table so you don't have to hold on to it while you're putting the paper mache on that, it really helps. It just makes things go a little bit easier. If you do use the bottle though, make sure that it's got something heavy in the bottom so it won't tip over. I wanted a real feathery look on the top of his head, and so I went down to the store and bought some really cheap paper towels. I usually pull the plies apart, but it was so cheap and the paper was so thin I couldn't do it. My fingers just could not pull them apart. So I just used a whole bunch of paste to make sure that the two pieces didn't kind of fall apart. I put paste on both sides. And, it was pretty sloppy. I started out at the very bottom and wrinkled up all the paper towels and kind of made it look feathery. It took a while, but I got it. Now, I'm sure you're going to think I'm totally crazy because I just went to the trouble of putting the paper towel feathers on the back of his head, and I got half of it done. And it suddenly occurred to me that if I had only put it on the front half of his head and then paint the back of it black from a distance, or if it was in the dark, it would look like he had a dodo-shaped head instead of a dodo bill on a human-shaped head. And I think I'm actually going to change it. I also discovered that this thing with the little forky dealies on the top, I don't know if you can see that, they're really helping to move things around. So if you actually want to try this, you might want to try a fork, just plain old fork instead of a knife to move the paper towels around. Now I'm thinking this won't really work. I'm going to have to, I think, start over. But that, the toilet paper mache that I tried on the shoe build mask, where it was just really toilet paper mixed in with paste, really roughly, so that the fibers were still, you know, it's still clumpy, but it did look really nice, and that would have been a whole lot faster than this. I don't know why I thought that this would be a good idea. I think that the paste is still wet enough that I can move it one piece at a time and give them some feathers. I think I can do it. It would have been so much easier to do this some other way, but it was kind of fun. I set it in front of a fan overnight, and now it is completely dry. Just gonna paint the back black. I want to make it look like the feathers kind of stick out just a little bit. The black paint just got on there, so it's still wet, but I'm thinking that even from a slight distance it actually works. I was trying to make this front half look like the mask and the back half kind of disappear, and I think it kind of does, sort of. Maybe not perfectly, but sort of. And I'm also kind of thinking that the fact that I moved all of this from back here over to the front made it really random. I mean, I wasn't doing it at that point as carefully as I had been in the back. I was getting kind of lined up and, you know, trying to do something that made sense. And because I moved it, I couldn't do that anymore. And it went on kind of randomly. And I think that was actually an improvement. It looks, I think, more natural. I mean, it doesn't really look like feathers, I have to admit. It doesn't really. But it looks, it has a really interesting texture. And the fact that you can see some of this lightly brown paper through the white paper towel, I actually like that too. I had intended to put a glaze on there so to really bring out the texture, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I like it exactly the way it is. It's kind of rough, kind of random, kind of thrown together, but I like it. I mixed up mostly black, a little bit of burnt umber, and a lot of glazing liquid. I want to kind of make sure that this is exactly where I want the dark part, and I'm going to play around with it just a little bit more too, I think. And I want to soften this edge just a little bit. I'm going to do that after I get the darkest part on there. And I'm just going to go back over that. This is dry now, and I'm going to make it more solid. I decided I liked it, and this is got quite a lot of brown in it. It's a real warm black. And I'm going real minimalist with this one. I'm not going to try to get carried away with anything other than the feathers and the little bit of this dark paint. I'm leaving almost everything else plain. And I did, when you weren't looking, I did put some of the brown right around his eyes. Very simple. I mixed up a lot of glazing liquid and just a little bit of this color. I'm just trying to make a almost transparent rim around it, just to kind of make it look like it belongs there. And I also kind of want to use the same, I don't even know if you'll see it or not, but just in here to kind of help define this part of his eye. And last thing, I'm try to use this great big brush. And I'm going to quit. I think you might be able to say that I was a little bit lazy when I painted this guy, but I really wanted the shapes to show up. If you have an idea about how it should have been painted instead of like this, please let me know, because like I said, there's an awful lot of different ways you could go with it. I don't think this is as close to the actual bird as my original sculpture was, but then even that one I was just kind of making everything up, pretty much like all the artists do who are painting and sculpting dodos right now. We just don't know what they used to look like really So we get to make it up. I think it's kind of fun. Now let me show you how it looks when it's on, just real fast. I do have the shoelaces in there. I stole these from the, where is he? The Mouse King. That's why I used gray. Normally I would have used shoelaces that actually match, but I was in a hurry. So this is how it looks. And you do need the straps because the bill is just a little bit heavy. So if you move around a whole bunch, it would fall forward. And maybe that would be okay, but I think it's just going to be more secure if you put it, put something under your chin. So this is him. I like this guy. I don't know why. I wish there were still some dodos in the world. I don't know how I think about the idea of cloning some. Then they'd have to end up in a zoo. So he's all done now, and if you would like to see how the pieces are all taped together of this pattern, you can find that, like I said, at ultimatepapermache.com/dodo mask, and you can get the pattern there too if you'd like to make a dodo of your own. So now go make something and come back and visit me, ultimatepapermache.com. I'll see you there.